world and the real world and the imaginary world. As time went by, I discovered that what happened in the hammam, where it was my job to bathe the living, was no different from what used to happen in the room where we washed the dead. If I can turn living people into corpses, then what is to stop me from bringing corpses back to life? They are our loved ones, as Grandma Zahia used to say, and we must not lose hope in their continued existence. I could strangle you, Miss Fathia burst out, reaching for Safa's trees, for the absentees of sight. I think God has given you, and you alone, the knowledge of everything that goes on here. Do you deny it? Know it all. Sala jumped up from where she was sitting and started wrestling with Fathia. I am a know-it-all. Nothing happens without my knowledge. I know every little detail. Now Fatima joined in. She put down the dish she had been washing and came up to Safa and E, her hands covered in soap bubbles, and wiped. I'm the stupid one who doesn't know anything. The village idiot. And if you find out stuff I do not know about, do not tell me! I'm perfectly happy. The three of them were like hens pecking each other in the dirt. A blur of dappled brown and white feathers. Fathia dragged me by the hand and then pulled me into the fray. We are at the hammam, she shouted. And this is the Nabulsi soap. She smeared suds on Fatima's hands, then held her hands up to me, still heaped with bubbles. Look, she said. Bathe us, she commanded, grabbing my hands. The real world and the imaginary world. I scrubbed your backs, your necks, your hair, I said, wiping my soapy hands on each of their backs in turn. So I ran my hands over their backs, their necks, and their hair. We pranced around, giggling. They each started barking orders like a military drill. At ease! Attention, pointing to bits of their bodies for me to scrub. Foot, chest, eyebrow, hair, bottom. We got sillier and sillier, and there was no shutting us down as we went on shouting out the names of people, abstract ideas, and political slogans. Tears, joy, intelligence, love, hate. Subi is Fatima's beloved. Amir has eyes like honey. 4 Eyes, the university professor with prescription glasses. The poet who makes all the girls go wild. Fathia's favorite writer, the one with the weekly column in Akdiam. Ali, who inspired Fathia to write poetry. The political posters and slogans. Time to elect a new national council. Yes to unity, no to division. Yes to the Arab Spring. Yes to Arab Palestine, summer in Sharm el-Sheikh. Islamic Palestine, international Palestine. The supporters of Hamas, of Fatah, of the Popular Front, the Abu Musab al-Zarqawi lot, the Bin Laden trees for the absentees gang. All the factions, the splits on high, the split between your thighs. All right, that's enough about between thighs, wheezed Fatima, gasping in between laughter. Gently when you scrub down there, screeched Fathia, wagging her finger in the air. And we rolled about on the ground like cockroaches sprayed with piff-paff, waving our legs in the air and clutching our stomachs. Safa's pale face was flushed red, and Fathia was almost crying with laughter. The Nablus night is not so different from the night in Deir Sabra, though there is something about it that is desolate and unsettling in its own way. I wanted to stay over with Fathia in Nablus, but I still had not persuaded my mum to let me. How had Fathia managed to get her parents to let her stay there on her own? All the girls rent a room or a flat and stay over, Fathia had told her mum. What is the problem? And when that did not work, she tried a different tack. I am going to be spending 4 years on the road, between Deir Sabra and Nablus, Mum. You know, it takes an hour each way, because of the checkpoints, even though it is so close. When am I going to study the real world and the imaginary world? And when that didn't work, she shouted and stormed off. She went on a hunger strike, and eventually her parents caved in, and she ended up getting a place to stay in the city. A 2-room flat on the 4th floor, with a bathroom, a kitchen, and a balcony overlooking a Junaid prison. Look, you can see the prisoners pacing up and down, said Fathia when Salah and I were there with her. Did you know my dad said he was locked up here during the first Intifada? I said. Now he is behind bars in another prison, an Israeli one this time. There are Palestinian prisons and Israeli prisons, but what is the difference? The prisoners are all Palestinians. This place is like a chameleon, said Safa from the other side of the room. You cannot tell the difference between top and bottom, front and back. Fatima laughed. Then she said, Stop worrying, Philistia. Do what I have done and leave the village behind you. And my dad, what would become of him if I left the village behind? I thought aloud. One of the prisoners was walking near the fence, shading his eyes with his hand and trying to see something in the distance. When I checked from the side of the balcony to see what he was looking at, I saw that it was a shepherd up on the hill with his sheep. Grandma, where is the light in this darkness? I asked myself. Mom had nothing positive to say when I rang to tell her I was staying with Fathia in Nablus. I do not trust you with the girls there, she grumbled. This really annoyed me, and I showed it as tends to happen. You trust me with the naked women at the hammam, but not with Fathia and the girls in her block. Why? What do you know about them? I got more and more irritated, while Mom said nothing. That's what she always does. She loves to see me get wound up so she can show me how she keeps her cool, something I rarely manage. Which is why I rarely win an argument with her. I tried to justify why I needed to stay over in Nablus. I simply had to, I explained, because of work. I calmed down enough to explain how busy it was going to be at work on Mother's Day. Every girl and her mother or mother-in-law would be at the hammam, hoping to put their disagreements behind them, hoping for a fresh start, and to come out feeling refreshed. You and I have some quality time together, I suggested. I heard her laugh down the line. Come to the hammam with me. I will scrub your skin until it gleams. After all, perhaps there will be a new prisoner release deal and Dad will be let out. You will need to be ready for him. When he sees you, your skin will be soft and glowing as a newborn baby. We had often hoped that my father might be released as part of the recent prisoner exchange deal, but it had not happened yet. We waited for him to be released in the first round, and he was not. We didn't lose hope and waited for him in the second round, but he still didn't get out then. And now here I was making fun of the whole thing and turning it into part of a deal with Mum to get her to agree to come for a spa treatment. What do you think, Mum? As I asked this, I remembered Safa once saying, Nobody knows how Israel thinks. What about us? I had asked Safa. We do not think, ! She had replied with a laugh. My mum didn't laugh, though. She remained silent. I know what it means when she goes quiet. She's not happy. I knew then that if it was a matter of her having to actively agree to something, she would refuse. And that is exactly what happened. She turned down the invitation to the hammam, but she obliged to let me stay over with Fathia. So I basically lied to Mum about work to get my way. 4 white lies, Fathia reassured me later. Parents do not mind the occasional one. In fact, they thrive on it the more you do it. It was true that it was a busy week at the hammam, but not so much that it affected the opening hours. The hammam was only open for women 2 days a week, Sundays and Tuesdays, and the remaining days were for the men. That was why I had arranged to go to university on Saturdays, Mondays, and Wednesdays. And the men ? Mom asked comma in an attempt to uncover a flaw in my story period. The hammam is for women only this week. The men can take a bath in the wash tub. I tried to turn it into a joke to overcome my guilt at lying. I just wanted to stay away from home for a while, for 1 or 2 days. Fathia picked up on that mood and played on it. Liberate yourself. Open the doors of your life. You are living in the shadows, Philistia. See the city at the real night. Night in the world that is in your head. I wanted to see the city with the night, not the eyes of the day. After coming here for several months, Nablus was not the same as before. I could see that. Not the same as when I used to come here, dragged behind my mum like a goat with a rope around its neck, across mountains, hills, valleys, and rivers. The tall palm trees in the center, like an oasis of date palms. An unfamiliar place always seems bigger. The more you get to know a place, the smaller it shrinks until it can fit in your hand. I had been to Nablus before, but coming now was nothing like the whistle-stop visits once or twice a year when I was younger. To buy new clothes for Eid, when people jostled in the souk and sweat dripped from Mum's brow and from her armpits. and the heavy black plastic bags dug yellow and blue-red rings into my fingers, all those impressions that were equally unexpected and equally unpleasant. So, this was night in Nablus. I flopped down on the bed next to Fathia. Should I tell her what was in my head? She would say I had gone crazy. It would give her yet more evidence to corroborate her theory. She would say, "You are a funny one, Philistia. You combine great courage and morbid weakness, excessive audacity and saintly bashfulness. More secrets of the body are revealed to you than to other girls your age or older. Yet the simplest things that girls our age have discovered are hidden from you. You blush and look terrified if a young man speaks to you, and yet you know more than most people about the differences between men's and women's bodies. When we walk down the street, you are all shifty and awkward, contorting all over the place like a bendy dildo that is terrified of bumping into anyone." She would stop to see my reaction, then continue. Yes, I swear that is right. It is what I've always said, and I stand by it now. In fact, that is not all. What else? I would ask, dumbfounded. It is because of your grandma Zahia and washing all the dead bodies that the world still puts you on edge. That is what has caused you these problems. What problems? You haven't even heard what I was going to say. I know you well, Philistia. You're going to start talking about the other world. About the torches with flames carried by cherubs or butterflies or something. Go on, tell me. Isn't that what you were going to say? The real world and the imaginary world. I would sit cross-legged in the middle of the bed, ready to listen. I would prop myself up with a pillow, leaning on the headboard of the bed. I would be feeling flushed, despite how cool it was in the room. How did Fathia know what went on in my head? I did not remember letting her into my world in such detail. Had I really told her all of that? But was she teasing me? That was the world she was talking about. What gave her the right to make fun of it? She had never touched it or smelled it or tasted it. She had never heard my world like I had. Fathia! Don't make fun of me, I would say, offended. Fathia would smile affectionately. Come on, I want to hear. And she would say it again when she saw the lack of enthusiasm in my eyes. Honestly, I want to hear what you have to say. Would I tell her about Bayraktar, the guy who had begun to visit me in my dreams since I started working at the hammam? Should I tell her that I had glimpsed him more than once at Khan al-Wakala in the old town? And that even though I followed him quickly and did not get sidetracked, even though I followed him straight as a bullet, I still lost sight of him in one of the alleyways. If I did, she would tease me. So you have this theory that there are two separate worlds. I would nod and expand by explaining that I did not think one world was superior to the other. After all, which one was real? Bayraktar or Fathia? But I could not tell her all this. It would mess with her mind. She definitely wouldn't get it. I decided I would not say anything about it. I would stick to what she could make sense of. I was going to tell you about my dreams. I could tell her. And what was special about them? Fathia would ask. The dance floor expands with every dream, I would reply. And are there many people dancing? There are more and more all the time. Have I ever been there? No, you have not, I would say. You've never stripped in front of me. You haven't died. And you haven't been born in front of me. For me to sterilize your belly button! I want to be on that dance floor, Philistia. Come to the hammam on your day off, then. The real world and the imaginary world, 37. You and Fatima and Safa. I will ask Walid to give you a discount. A discount on what exactly? On the hammam, Fathia. And dancing in the water that gushes from the pipes with their lashes, and the waterfall and the waves with the dancing women and the babies. The naked, the deceased, the spinsters, the depressed, the ones who have miscarried, the ones who are misjudged, the happy, the beautiful, the ones who want to be all having a dance with your happy and beautiful Grandma Zahia hosting the party? I would laugh and Fathia would wink. Free entry, Fathia. Why don't you come and see? But nah, I decided I am not going to tell you. I won't let you infiltrate my world. Nobody will. This world was mine and mine alone. This world I had inhabited since Grandma Zahia first took me with her and taught me the secrets of life and the secrets of death. When she taught me how to prepare a body for burial, she stretched out her hand and pressed the belly of the dead woman. With a flannel, she wiped away the excretions from the woman's nose and from her mouth and from between her thighs. She filled a jug with tepid water and poured it over the body, moving from one part to another. She did that with her eyes watching mine closely, and from time to time she stroked my hair and murmured something. When she had finished, she retired to a corner of the room and put her arm around me, and I fell asleep and dreamed, the first of my dreams. I saw the old woman on the wooden chair slowly starting to stand up. She ran her hand over her body, looking at my grandma. And when she had confirmed to herself that every limb was in its place, she smiled at my grandma, and my grandma smiled back at her. Shuffling to the edge of the chair, the old lady placed first one foot, then the other on the floor. Then she began to take her first steps like a baby. "Is she a good woman, Grandma?" I asked. Grandma replied in a compassionate voice I had never heard her use before. "Who are we to judge people, Philistia?" The woman approached my grandma and took her hand. Grandma stood up to go with her. Her fingers let go of mine. "Take me with you," I screamed. The real world and the imaginary world. The old woman moved away and almost disappeared. Grandma moved away with her and almost disappeared too. I screamed, "Do not leave me, Grandma!" Grandma hugged me tightly, and I slept in her arms, breathing in her smell of snuff and hearing her moist-sounding voice as she prayed for God's protection, chanting over my head, "In the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate," and reciting the last surahs of the Quran. I slept like I would never sleep again,